There's a few categories of electric motorcycles that I feel like have the potential to be game-changing, and some of those already exist. One would be a dirt bike that can compete at the highest level. I think we're already seeing that with the Stark Varg. Just this week, it was banned by the X Games, as some say, for being too good. And then we have entry-level dirt bikes that are just really, really fun and affordable. And that category has been fulfilled by the Surons, the Talarias, the 79 bikes. There's so much competition that it's great. We have a ton of choices, the prices are coming down, and the performance is going up. Now, when it comes to street bikes and things that are road legal, I feel like the sweet spot that hasn't quite been fulfilled yet is something that has, say, 0 to 60 in 3-second performance, highway, high speeds, under $10,000, and a battery around, say, 10 kilowatt hours. There's things that are close to that, but nothing has quite hit the market and made that a reality. Now, the fourth category, I think I might have right behind me, and that would be a street legal electric motorcycle that has good performance, good range, but has an affordable price that a lot of people could justify, say under $5,000. This is the Naxeon IM Light. Now, I already reviewed and put out a nice long video about the Pro version of this bike, and I compared this basically to the Tesla of electric motorcycles because of its high-tech features, and I think that the Naxeon IM was awesome because of all the things that it had to offer. I felt like the price was very reasonable, performance was good, the range was excellent. Now, the current price of that bike is about $7,000, so I didn't feel like it was that game changer under $5,000 bike, but the Light is. And I say that because you're basically getting everything that the Naxeon IM Pro model has. You're getting the touchscreen, you're getting the high-tech features. You have ABS brakes, you have traction control, you have front and rear view cameras, you have a direct drive hub motor with adjustable regenerative braking, very soft, very comfortable suspension, futuristic looks. So from a tech perspective, it's basically the same. So what's different, might you ask? Well, we get slightly tuned down performance. I've actually done dyno runs now of the original Naxeon and this one. I'm back with the Naxeon IM, this time to do a bunch of dyno tests and range tests. I've got the bike fully charged and I'm gonna do a total of 4 runs. The reason being, there are basically 4 different power modes. We have sail, which is kind of like eco mode. We have dynamic, which is kind of like normal. Zigzag, which is basically sport. And then on top of those is the boost mode. Now, the boost mode is temporary. It's kind of like a passing button, but it does give a substantial increase in power for a very short period. And then there's like a 2-minute cooldown before you can use it again. But I want you to know what all of those modes are. So I'm gonna start with the boost mode. This is the temporary power. So this is the absolute max peak power and torque, but just remember that you only get this for a short period. You can't do this all the time. In 3, 2, 1. Now, just for reference, they advertise a peak power of 11,000 watts. But what does the boost mode do? Oh, seriously? I thought I hit start. 3, 2, 1. We actually got 14,250 watts and 244 pound-feet of torque. That's really good. Now, I think to be fair, I'm not going to put this number on the dyno board. If this was a number that this bike could repeatedly do 100% of the time, that's the number I would use. But because it's kind of a limited use mode that you only get for so many seconds, I'm not gonna count it, but just so you guys know, that's what it can actually do. 244 pound-feet is actually a lot of torque. 14,000 watts is a very good amount of power. Let's jump it over into zigzag. That was actually better than I expected. 12,560 watts, well over the 11,000 advertised. 223.6 pound-feet of torque. Those are very respectable numbers. That's what I'm going to put on the dyno board as the max. But then I'm also going to tell you what the sail and dynamic modes are, just so we can kind of get a feel for how much does that taper the power down as you turn these settings down. There it is. Let's see where that goes on the board. Here's our E-Moto category so far. Now I'm going to turn it down to dynamic. So this is the normal mode. Also a little more than I was expecting. Just a little over 10,000 watts, 193 pound-feet of torque. And finally, sail. This is basically your eco mode, and this is the range test I still need to do. 9,000 watts, 168 pound-feet. Are we going? Yeah, we're going. 3, 2, 1. So it looks like the most we can get out of the light version here is about 10,500 watts. Actually still pretty darn good. And instead of 223 pound-feet of torque, we got 183 pound-feet of torque. So realistically, in my opinion, if you ride these bikes side by side, it is going to be pretty obvious which one is quicker. But this has honestly still a lot of power for the price. That is still really impressive. So there's the light version versus the original Naxeon. Let's go put those back up on the board. As far as street legal bikes, the next one down is the Velocifero Jump. Way more power than that. Quite a bit more than the HMP Lightning, a lot more than the Iahora M1 PS Night. We're just sitting right under the original Naxeon. And of course, we're gonna be underneath the Land Moto bikes, underneath the Rivet bikes, the Will Mason. But if we just look at street bikes and price, this is a pretty sweet spot. All of these bikes are not only more, but often substantially more money. And then you get a slightly smaller battery. The original had a 6.5 kilowatt hour usable capacity. This one is 4.7 kilowatt hours of capacity. Now, in the range test I did on the other Naxeon, I basically put it in the sportiest of modes and rode it around the way I like to ride. Quickly, having fun, backcountry roads, and I got about 65 miles from 100% down to effectively 0. So the question is, if I do the same thing on the light version, how far am I going to get? It's a little bit cold and chilly out today, so I know the battery range may not be optimal, but we're gonna go for it because it's not raining. Had a lot of rain lately. It's been making it hard to film. So we're gonna make this happen. We've got our tire pressures about right. These tires are rated at 40 PSI cold. You can see there's only 3 miles on the bike as of right now. You know, I need to go through and reset the trip meter. There we go, so trip A is set to 0. This is saying range 75 miles. I'm gonna assume that's more of a city eco mode, which is not what we're gonna do. Definitely have to gear up a little bit for the cold. All right, we are in Zigzag, which is basically this bike's sport mode. And now we are in drive. We're ready to go. Traction control is off. The roads thankfully have dried up, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. It was a little wet earlier, but the storm has passed for the day. So I'm kind of curious to see how this bike performs versus the original Naxeon because, like I said, it has slightly less power, but it is a little bit lighter, so that might help it a tiny bit. We'll see once I get to the twisty roads if it's as much fun, if it feels as sporty. Now, there are more powerful bikes out there. This definitely isn't the quickest electric motorcycle I've ridden, but it's quick enough to be fun. And it's a very comfortable bike. The side panels are really smooth. You've got nice spots to kind of grab onto the frame. It's fairly upright in its riding position. The suspension is soft. If anything, maybe a little too soft. And so far, I mean, I'm keeping up with traffic. I feel like if I really punch it, you know, it's just, I keep just getting stuck with cars, and I need a little more open road to have fun on this thing. We've done about 2 miles and we're sitting at 96%. I do have the regenerative braking on kind of the highest setting because I want to capture as much energy when I'm braking as possible, especially if I'm riding aggressively. I don't know what the top speed on this is yet. Hopefully when I get a flat stretch of open road I can confirm that. You know, both of the Naxeons are great for back road stuff, so it's not a huge difference performance-wise between the two. Because it's not like one does highway speeds excellently and the other doesn't. There's just not that big of a difference on the top speed that I'm aware of. The braking feels nice. I am going to have to take it a little easy on this ride just because the tires are brand new and fresh, and motorcycle tires need to be scrubbed in and broken in a little bit, so we're not going to go too crazy. Alright, this is full throttle, so we're at 40, 50, 60, 65, and I had to let off a little bit. So I know it'll do at least 65 already. I guess the two things I really want to find out from this bike are, what's the range? Is this a bike I could use on a daily basis? And I think I already know the answer is going to be yes to that. But let's confirm it. And then 2 is, how much fun is it to ride? Because if it has good range and it's fun, then it's the game changer sub $5,000 bike. It's the sub $5,000 electric motorcycle I feel like we've been waiting for. The quality of this is just so much better than some of the other sub $5,000 street legal electric motorcycles I've ridden. So as an example, there's the Velocifero. That was under $5,000. This has better performance by far, better fit and finish, better features. Like, it's just a better bike in every possible way. I feel like this bike competes with bikes that just cost more. So I have 2 of the Rivet bikes in the shop, and I will say the performance will blow this away, but those 2 bikes have the upgraded ASI controller option. The stock bike without that is probably going to be fairly similar to this in performance, and this is substantially less money. Now that bike's made in America, this one is made in China. That's a difference that may or may not matter to you, but something I need to point out. The Maving bikes look absolutely amazing. I feel like very comparable in performance to this, but again, they cost a lot more. Land Moto is something that's kind of comparable. They come out of the box with a bit more performance, but again, more expensive. So we're getting more and more electric motorcycles between $5,000 and $10,000, but this is the only one that to me feels like a real motorcycle under $5,000. Nice tight hairpin turn. Woo! I'm just worried about the new tires, so I didn't want to push that too hard. The braking was amazing. You've got these 2 disc brakes, front and rear, but the regen really helps. So you can really apply most of your braking to the front if you want, like right now, and then you're getting a good combo of a light rear brake and then mostly your front braking, where I could be imagining it. Oop, just scraped a peg a little bit. Be more careful about that. So up this hill, I'm doing about 50 miles an hour. So that's what I mean when I say this is not like a freeway capable bike. It might have picked up a little more speed as time went on, but you're definitely going to see a drop in top speed depending on the grade of a hill. You know, this road is pretty flat right here, even though the twisty stuff is more fun. I am going to go on this flat stretch of road just to see what is this thing like on kind of an open highway-ish road. What's our speed going to be like? Feeling pretty comfortable with its performance right now. 60-61, it's just, and I got it pinned. So 60 miles an hour up a little bit of a grade. So this is actually a 65 mile an hour highway. I'm gonna hop on just briefly here and use the boost mode if needed to try and keep up. But we got an uphill, so let's put the boost mode on. So uphill on the highway, we're now doing 65 miles an hour, 63. That boost mode helps quite a lot, actually. So this isn't too bad. So based on that little test, I would say if you want to hop on a freeway from like one exit to another, you can do it. Save your boost mode button for when you hop on there. Get the bike all the way up to whatever its max speed is going to do under its normal zigzag mode. And then when you need a tiny bit more, press the boost mode. That'll get you above 60, kind of go with the flow of traffic, and then you can hop off at the next off-ramp. Looks like we've done about 13 miles so far. Battery is sitting at 71%. So I was kind of thinking in the back of my mind that if I get more than 50 miles riding around in zigzag, then I was going to be pretty happy with this. And right now we're sitting at 58% battery left, so we still got a ways to go. And I've done about 22 miles. So we're getting real close to 25 miles and 50%. I will check back in a little bit and let you know where we're at. So I just hit 50% battery and we're sitting at 26 miles. So based on that, yeah, 50 miles at this riding level should definitely be doable. We'll see if that holds up. I've got a little more uphill to do to get back to the shop where I started. So I'm not noticing any major loss in performance yet. In fact, let's hit the boost button and hit it. What are we gonna get? 62, 63, 64, 65. I'm pretty pleased with that. That did suck the battery down quite a bit doing the boost mode. We got down to 45% now and only added a couple of miles. So I just hit 40%. When you hit 40%, the battery gauge turns orange, kind of telling you, oh, you're starting to get on the low side of things, but it's flat right here, and I'm at 60 miles an hour, haven't even touched the boost button yet. So our performance is still holding up really nicely. And as you can see, we're still easily faster than all the traffic on the road. We just whip through those turns like it's no big deal and catch up to the regular cars driving around. Oh, everybody's turning. Isn't that convenient? Oh, here we go. We just hit 30%. Okay, so I'm a little bit nervous about how close I cut things. I just hit the 5% power mode. So at 10%, power did drop a bit down to about 45 miles an hour max speed. Up above that, performance held really good throughout the whole battery life. But because I just hit the 5% number, now it's really reduced my power. It's basically letting me go e-bike speeds. I'm doing like 20 miles an hour. So I have 5%. It says I have 3 miles left. Now I have gone 46 miles. So we're really, really close to hitting my 50-mile goal. The only problem is I still have to get back to the shop, and it says I only have 3 miles left, and I can only go like 20, 25 miles an hour. So we're basically in the get home, get to a charger mode right now. So I'm glad that we can still go, but I mean this is all the acceleration we got right here. We are just crawling. So we're basically gonna ride this like an e-bike at this point. And try to get back to the shop. And I just hope I make it. I think I will. I made it back to town, and the slower you go, the less power you use, so, I mean, we're not using much power. That's good. Well, I definitely pushed the range as much as I possibly could, and I got so close to reaching my goal. You can see I got the battery down to 4%, and the range down to just 2 miles left. And if we go to our trip meter, 46.7 miles. And because it says I have 2 left, roundabout, you could say I would have got about 49 miles. And I think that's kind of like a worst case scenario. I pushed it hard. I was basically trying to kill it. I went on the highway, freeway. I used the boost mode a bunch of times. I really didn't hold back on trying to drain it very quickly. And also, it's a little bit chilly out today, and lithium batteries do not particularly like the cold. So the cold temperature, that might have lost us potentially a little bit of range as well. So overall, I'm really happy with how this performed. That is pretty darn close to what I was expecting to get. The performance was really nice. The top speed actually was better than I thought it was going to be. I was expecting a big drop in top speed from its, I would say larger sibling, but it's physically the same size, but it's a larger battery sibling. It's so close on the top end that I feel like performance-wise, I'm pretty happy with what this does. I would realistically, if you're debating about these two bikes, go for the Naxeon Pro version with the bigger battery if you need the range. If it's strictly about performance, it's such a small difference that I don't know if it's really gonna matter that much. Of course, if you're debating between these two bikes, you can always drop by our place in Grass Valley, California, and you can test ride them side by side if you want to. The Naxeon Light is gonna stay here as another demo bike. So I'm gonna have both models here all the time unless I'm out having fun riding it myself. But the idea is they're gonna stay here at the shop for you to come test ride so you can decide which one you should buy. So there it is, the Naxeon IM Light. I said at the beginning of this video, I think this is potentially a game-changing electric motorcycle because of the price. And after having ridden it for a few hours, I'm gonna stick by that. I do think this is an excellent buy. If you're looking for an affordable entry-level motorcycle that's electric, you definitely need to take a look at one of these. You should definitely find a place to test ride one. I think you will be impressed. I'll put a link in the description to the Naxeon website where you can check out all the details on these. And again, if you wanna see one in person, please come to Area 13 and you can test ride these for yourself.